Hi, this is Bonnie, and today I'm going to be playing with the Sizzix Tim Holtz new, this is called Trim Tree. Yeah, Trimetry. And it's number 666332. And so far, I have die cut the tree. And I've just cut it out of white cardstock for now. And I'm planning to ink up each one of these, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a tip. If you cut these out of separate papers like this, you can have a stencil, and that will make a really great background behind your tree, or even if you just want to do a stencil. So the ones that I did die cut, I did not die cut the second one because the only difference for the second one are these little openings. I might change my mind once I ink it up, but I'm just showing you how they will layer up. So you'll end up with a really cool layered, whoops, getting it stuck, layered stencil by doing it this way. And I just wanted to show you how that would work. So that's just a tip. So as you're cutting them out, save your backgrounds, cut them out in a way so you can use them as a stencil. Like I said, they'd make really great backgrounds. Even if you just basically wanted a big tree behind, it works great. You know, just to kind of like fill in the space behind if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull out my ink for what I'm going to do for inking each one of these up. Okay, so for my ink colors, I am being inspired by Pete Hughes's, he did, I think it was called, the Forest Shadows card. Gorgeous, gorgeous tree. And I am going to do this in reverse because I want the dark circles down here to pop. So instead of being dark and going light, I'm going to go dark in the bottom and go light in the top. And the first one I'm going to use is Chip Sapphire. And it is going to change how I do each one. And I think it's really important to understand that, I want to say, as things change, the blending, how you change that out for each section. Because if I don't know how to explain it to you, but I think it's gonna, you'll see as we go how important it is for the ink blending when it is ombre type. Because of how this layers. If it was all one piece and that would be it, the ombre piece would be fine. But we're going to have to still make that work as it goes up. So I'm not going to be putting the dark on each one, you know, the Chip Sapphire. So it's going to start, like I said, on the bottom. And for the most part, this isn't really going to show as I layer it up. So I don't really have to even ink this top part. The only reason I will slightly is because the edges could show. But so I definitely want it to be like that to start. And then for the next layer, as you're going to see, this goes pretty much directly on top. So I'm still going to have a little bit of the, I'm going to have to gradually go up. You'll see what I'm saying. See, like I want that to show up behind. But if I go ahead now and put my Chip Sapphire down, there's not going to be a difference in the two. So I think what I'm going to do, I was going to just do the next color up, but I think what I'm going to do is, because it's so similar in color, I am just going to do the Faded Jeans, because that'll still give me a contrast. I'm hoping I don't make the mistake of it not being a big enough contrast. I can always use water to change that. So this is my second one going up. And I'm just really concerning myself right now with the bottom. I'm trying to think this through. I have not done it. So this is so you get to see how you can think this through instead of somebody just telling you or just showing you what they've done. This way you can kind of like think through it with me. I think that's the best way to say it. And then you'll end up coming up with your own ideas. Now let's just see how that would work. There is a contrast there, as long as I don't make that too dark. And that's kind of like what I want to do. And I don't have a problem with these bottom ones being the faded jeans too, because these are going to lift up a little bit, because that's how they were created. I think that's so cool. I thought that was genius that that's what they decided to do, Tim and the Sizzix team. I just think that's really cool. It's because that will lift up. And again, you'll see that these will be able to show through. So it's just these first 3 layers, well, that really have the opening. Well, there is another one too, but I want to keep that in mind so that there is a contrast for this next layer coming up. Because so you can see those, there will be an opening there. So that's kind of important. The rest of this is going to get covered up. So I think that's going to work really well. Going up. Okay. So that was Faded Jeans, and we already did Chip Sapphire. So the next color up I want to try, looking at Pete Hughes's coloring, I want to try Salty Ocean. Now this is going to be a little bit darker, but I'm also have a plan for going up. Now let's see here. This is how it's going to go so far. This is totally being covered up, as you can see. So our next layer up will be, let me make sure I get the right one. Yep, this will be number 3. All right, and this will be going on, so we're going to get the contrast no matter what. And again, I'm going to make sure that I get the circles on the one, on this one going up, so that it will show through. And I want it to be darker, like I said, and lighter as I go up. I think that makes sense. All right, we always can double check to see how things look. Let's go back. I'm getting the ink all over. So that's going to go like that. We can see the contrast there. And then we're going to get this one. I think I got the wrong, oh, I got the right side, yep. Did I grab the wrong one? No, I've got the right one. All right, so that might be a reason why we might have to do some of that going up, because it's going to show underneath here, and that's fine. That's how we figure out what it is we want to do underneath, so that I know I need to go up. But right now I can tell you that I am going to go ahead and continue to go up, because you can see the spots behind now. You couldn't behind before, and so that kind of like tells me how we need to color that, and that's fine. So I'm going to take this back and go this way so I can see what I want to color underneath there. I am going to go ahead, and it's the only one that's really showing through. Okay, so we're going to go straight up with this one with the Faded Jeans. I think that will work great. The other one is not going to show. And I only need to do the edges, because as you could see, the edges were the only thing that was showing through. I'm going to go ahead and get that top. But this kind of tells you you can do the whole inking if you want to, if it's too confusing. So the first one would be totally Chip Sapphire, and this one would be Faded Jeans. And we're going to go ahead and test that out and see how that looks. Okay. So again, put that down. I'm going to wipe this up a little bit. It's starting to bug me. Just get that. There's no reason. I mean, I'll be pulling that ink up the whole time otherwise. All right, let's get that out of our way. Okay. There we go. All right, so we'll get back to what we're doing. Again, that's our first layer, and that was chipped sapphire. And then we have our faded jeans, and I did it all the way up. And I'm going to see how that goes on top, so we can see. That will fit perfectly. Now, if you're afraid that that white's going to show, I would go ahead and just do the chipped sapphire all the way up. But that's how that goes. And then we've got this one. So we're going to go ahead and test it. I think I might do the chipped sapphire all the way up. And then our next one is going to be this one. And like I am going to go all the way up with this one too. It just will save our time. It's not that big of a deal. And then we'll be all set, ready to go. Okay, wipe that ink off. So we've got that one done. So our next one will be broken china. There's a little bit of a contrast between that. Okay. And make sure I grab the right one. I have. And that's smaller. You can always see because they gradually get smaller. And I'm just going to go ahead and ink this whole thing up. And you'd be careful of that piece, and this is getting thinner, so you want to be careful of these pieces that you don't bend them up. Okay, wipe that away. And we'll get that back on top. And we do have a little bit of that changing out there as we go up. That'll look really pretty, I think. Okay, I know I'm showing you this way, but there we go. It's going to be really pretty like that. So our last, we have two left. And so I'm going to do this one out of Salvaged Patina, but then the very last one, I'm going to do something really light because it could be snow on top. So we'll see how that goes. So again, we've got the Salvaged Patina for this one. In as much as Pete Hughes's, what was I say? It was a Forest Shadows inspired me. It doesn't really look like his at all, although I love his. It's just gave me the inspiration to do something like that. Because I really liked how he had a lot of white on his. Okay. So now I think, yeah, I need to figure out what I want to do for this very last one. And I think I'm going to do it really, I don't know. I think I want to make it a little bit different. I had not picked that one out. So I'm going to go ahead and look. I'm not sure about this one. I was sure about everything else, but I am not sure about this very last one now. So I'll go ahead and check and I'll be right back. Okay, so for the very last one, I decided to do Tumbled Glass. It will be lighter. I still have a little bit of the other ink on my brush, but that's okay. We'll come up this way then. Just in case a little bit of that patina does show, I want to keep it as light as I can at the top. And again, you need to be careful with these. They're small when you ink them. And I think we got that all figured out, because that's much lighter. Okay, so I'm really excited about how that's going to turn out. And I'm going to go ahead and get this one all glued together now. I'm going to clean this off. Okay. So we're all good. We just need to put these together. And if you'd like to see how that goes, we'll go ahead and do that. Actually, what's really nice about this particular die is you can pretty much tell how this one goes together just by size alone. So that's really cool. I need to get my glue opened up. Let's see if I can get that. When it gets down to the end, I always have a problem with my glue. There we go. Yep, okay. So I always build going up. So that's our first layer. And I did add a little bit of chipped sapphire to the top on the edges. And the key here is don't put any glue on that part you want to raise up. You put it on the part on the bottom, but not the part, because if you glue it down, it won't raise up. And one way you can really avoid that too, I guess, I could have held this up a little bit. Made sure I didn't get any glue on it. Okay. So this one should fit on here, other than the bottom. I think actually perfectly. Need to grab that up. This glue tends to dry very quickly, and I have to get that so I can see it. There's that. Although I don't really think it's a really big deal that it gets a little wonky. But there we go. And you can see what I mean. This part can stay glued down, and this part can be raised up a little bit. And that's kind of like the best way to do that. I want to get that little piece right there. Okay. There we go. That's the first two layers. So then I'm going to take my next one. And again, remember, we're not going to be gluing that part that sticks up right there. I'll put these underneath. Well, that's the part I really need to glue. Let's pull that up instead. Okay. It's not always easy looking through your phone and seeing what you're gluing, so I pull it to the side a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so again, I don't want this part right there, but I do want this part right here. So that's the only thing a little bit trickier about, which I don't think it's a big deal. You just have to remember not to glue down the part you want to raise up. All right, let's get that piece lined up. And really the top part first helps me line that up the best. And again, you can already see how there's that overlap from those branches from being behind. I'm trying to get that part there so that it sticks up a little bit. All right, so you can see how the parts behind, which is why we had to glue those, are a little bit different color because they're in the background, so that works, being a little bit darker. Okay, so that's what we got so far. The next layer will be this one. And again, same concept. I don't want that little part that's supposed to flip up to have glue on it, so we'll pull this part forward. Okay, and then just this part up here. And get that lined up. This all takes time. There's no reason to be in a big hurry. Just enjoy what you're doing. It's just important to get that top piece and then the rest of this. You can see now we've got that different, little bit different layers. And we have our little parts that come up. As you can see, it gives us 3D. All right, we've got 2 more to go. And again, this part right here is going to be raised up. But it can be actually glued on that. That's not going to hurt anything. So this is a little bit different than the other ones, because it can be totally glued on. Line up that top piece first, and then come down. And then that piece right there will lift up. Okay, and then we have our very last piece. Okay. And now you just have your basic tree, and that helps with a little bit of the color to show you how those layers even go together. So that's kind of fun doing that. The next thing I think that would be a little bit interesting to add is if you want to add a little bit of texture paste to some of these edges, you can have some snow. So I'm going to go ahead and get my texture paste out and add a little bit to those edges. Okay, so this part's going to be a little fiddly, so I'm not going to get a lot on, but I'm going to show you how these layers will work. I know that the star is going to be going up here, so there's no reason to put any of the texture paste up there, but I can put some of that down here. I'm only putting a little bit on my brush, and then I'm kind of like, I want to say, painting it on. And the thing that's nice about this texture paste is you can come back in with your hands and do whatever you want. But I don't want to take away too much of the design either by putting the texture paste on that's already there. So like, I'm not getting very much, but I just want to add just a little bit to the edges. Okay, it does give it a little bit of a pop. Now here I'm going to have to be a little bit careful, because if I put too much of that texture paste on, it's totally going to push that piece back down, and I don't want to do that. I want it to be up. I could always pull it up as I'm doing this anyway. See, I can come back in here and make sure it's sticking up. I could even put my finger under, or thumb underneath. And these parts are down. Okay, so you can see how there's a little bit of snow. I'm going to get some up here. So yeah, this part of it's going to take a little bit of time, because you're just wanting in certain spots. And then we'll come down here. Again, I'm going to put my thumb underneath some of this part that's raising up. frustrating. I don't want that big, huge piece. Okay. I'm going to put some in the background, I think, too. Okay. I don't want to get my fingers in it. But I think this is working. So we're getting that on there. This bottom part's going to be the easiest. I don't have to worry what's underneath. It's only if I want to go up higher on it, which I might. I want to leave some room for the ornaments, or if I'm going to put any decorations on the tree. I mean, it's called Trim a Tree. But this gives it a little bit of texture too, and it looks like snow. Oops. That piece just doesn't, there we go. So this one's going to have to dry before I can really add anything more to it. So that's what you can get if you add a little bit of texture paste to your tree. So the next thing to work on would be the star. So I'm going to go ahead and get that together and we'll work on the star. Okay, so for this star, I'm going to show you how the star goes together, how you cut it out. This piece right here, the full piece, that's your full piece. That's your second piece. This is how that looks. It's going to go that way. And then you've got your third piece, which are those two pieces right there. And that gives you the 3D. So what I'm going to do is, I typically know that they're doing yellow, but I thought maybe I'm going to try doing the Distress ink, Lost Shadow, and Oxide. And I am going to be using my brush, and this is going to be the darker, and so I need to use one of my other brushes that I use for my Lost Shadow. I think I'm going to use this one. Okay, and so that's what I'm going to do. This is going to be my darkest, and obviously you know that Lost Shadow is very light. The ink one, Distress ink, is darker than the Oxide. So that already gives me my shadow for the two. And so then for my next one, I am going to use the Lost Shadow, but what I'm going to do is do this one a little bit darker and get lighter as I go. So I find doing these to ink up my paper first, but I wasn't really sure how this was going to work, so I decided just to go ahead. All right, so let's just check this out a second. Yep, so that's going to be lighter, and that's going to work. That gives us our contrast. Let me get a little closer. It's hard to even see that, but I'll hold it up to the camera in a minute. So this last set, I'm hardly going to put anything on, honestly, but it'll still give us the a little bit of contrast. I'm just going to use what's left on my brush. And I can always come back in and highlight that too a little bit. So, all right, so this is really simple how to put together, other than the fact that it's a little bit small. It's not that small. The ornaments are smaller. So we're going to go ahead and put this one together. And I think there might be some glitter when I get done with this, adding some glitter to the top of the star. Or I might just paint on some glitter that I have. Okay. So there's that first layer. And then we have our second. And it shows you right on here where to put it. I call this little piece looks like a boomerang. The boomerang goes at the top. Okay. And this little piece that isn't really, it looks like a teardrop, goes to the side. That's what gives it the dimension. It's kind of cool. Okay. And it gives you the dimension, it gives you a little bit of two different colors. So now you can see that. I'll hold that up. Oops. Sometimes it doesn't want to, there we go. I got a little bit of glue on there. Trying to get the glue off the edges. But that would be really pretty. You even adding, you know, even glossy accents to that would be pretty. So that's our star. Pretty excited about that. Really simple. Just think how you can make several of these stars. They'd be really pretty on any project. I like that they're 3D. All right, and then this will go right here at the top. And I think I can go ahead and put that on and not have that glare, so you can see how that looks. All right, I'm gonna make sure that I have this right way up too. Oh, it's completely different on the packaging. The teardrop goes at the top. So I can do, yeah, teardrop. So it's a little bit different that way, but that works because I was thinking it was going to go like this. But I think I like it that way because of how I did it with the shading being darker below. So I think I'm going to go that route for my preference. So I'm putting that glue right there on the tip. And I'm coming back in to make that secure. And we have a few layers underneath there, as you know, because that top got layered up. Get the glue off. Okay, I don't know if this light will make a difference. Nope, that made it worse. All right. Okay. So I think putting my hand behind there gives you a better... It does have the different shading to it. It's hard to see. But anyway, that's the tree in terms of the star and adding the snowflakes. The next thing to do, if you want to trim your tree, is to check out the ornaments. And there's 3 little dies, and they're numbered on the back as always. This is 3, and this is 2, and this is 1. So this is what that tells you. These are going to all be layered up. This will be your first layer, your second layer, and your third layer. So whatever you want, you can see these little holes. That's what's going to show on this one. So you want whatever it is that you want to show, these teeny tiny holes, to be on that one. And then this one layers up and that one layers up. So yeah, the hole will be right there. Well, actually, we're going to cut these out because I have a feeling the holes do not show here. The holes show here. So the only parts that are going to show up on these from the looks of this is going to be the ornament top. So this one right here should be like whatever you want your ornament top to be. So I would probably do metallic out of this one and then your 2 colors out of here. So we're going to go ahead. Let me get that even a little bit closer. I'm sitting here telling you these things and you can't hardly probably see them. This one right here is probably the only thing that's really going to show is going to be your ornament top. So this should be whatever ornament top you want. This one will be your next layer up, which will be your color, but this one will show through this one. This will be like the window, but the only part on here that's really going to show is going to be what you see in those little, that's what's going to show, because there's going to be a window. You'll see what I mean. I'll get those together, but I wanted to explain that to you too. Okay, so before I got any further, I wanted to show you one of the things that works really well is to use I use like this, I've had this forever. Xron is what I call it, sticker machine. And I put that on the back of these two papers that I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to cut them out. Actually, I'm going to just take this film off, just like that. And then I'm going to put the proper piece on, which will be the number 2. I want silver on the inside. And I will run that through just like that through my die cutting machine. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got 3 of the ornaments done. And I'm going to show you how I do this last one. And basically, this is the first. And that's what I told you is going to be basically what shows up is what's up there at the top. And then you layer up the second one. And in this case, I'm using the silver glitter. That in itself is just pretty by itself. And then there is a third layer, which, like I said, makes like a little window. And for that one, I used some Holtz metallic paper that has kind of a purpley tint to it. And I'm putting that one right on the top, and that allows for that little sparkly window to show through. And that's what that ornament looks like. And then I can put these on the tree. So I'm not sure how many more I'm going to make, but I wanted you to see that those are the 4 that you can make that will go on the tree. And that makes your trim the tree. So I'm going to make a few more of those probably, and I'll be right back. So I also wanted to show you how you can do that stencil that we made for the background of your card. Okay, so let's do a little stenciling for this background. This is the size I think I wanted to go with. I was going to try to tell you what size it is. It is roughly about 8 inches by 5.5. So I might trim that back when I go to actually do it. But for now, this is what I'm going with. And I'm going to go ahead and use the largest stencil background first. And I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have this so that it's in the center. So I want to have this kind of to the side. And that's the plan. We're going to go ahead and tape that down on here. Because I am going to probably rotate this, so I don't want to tape it to the bottom. And then I'm going to be using the lightest first. I think I'm going to be using the lightest ink, which is the Tumbled Glass, because I want it to be more like a shadow behind. So, yeah, I'm going to start with this. And then I'm just going to, like, I want it to be a shadow. I don't want it to be heavy. So this works just if you just want basic shadow in the background. And this works really great. I'm going to get this lift up a little bit here. I think I missed a spot. There we go. Okay. This will also help me see if I want to do some layering. And I think I do. The only thing I didn't do is I did not cut the second one out that has the little windows down here at the bottom, but I didn't think that was going to be that important for this. So now we've got this one. Take a peek to see, yep, I can see what it looks like. Carefully take that off. And you see we have a very, very subtle background. I'm going to give it a little bit more depth. Although I think I am going to go ahead and put this one over here. Let's just go ahead and do this one right now. I don't want it to be exactly the same height, so I'm going to have this one come down just a little bit. I think that'll work fine. Although I could really have one right behind. Yep, we're going to go that route. And come down a little bit. I don't want it to look like it's all lined up. I want it to have more of an organic look. So, I'm just going to go ahead. I don't even care if it's exactly... I do want it straight though. I don't want it to look like it's fallen over. Yeah. Okay, same ink. And I'm not going over what's there. Right here, I'm not going to go over what I already put, because this way it'll look like it's behind it. Or maybe this one should be in front because it is down further. We can do that. We'll see. Okay. Yep, not much there. That's all I want. And then I'm going to do one more. Move that tape over so it's on top. So that's really cool to know that you can actually just make your little stencils to go with it. And then it makes a really pretty background. Okay, so let's pick up what the second layer would be. And that would be the next one. I did not do the second one, like I said, this would be like the third. And I'm gonna line that up on here. You can see how that lines up. Scooch that down a little bit. And what I'm gonna do for this one is I am gonna use the patina. It's a little bit darker. Not much. But it's going to give me, whoops, I should have put that tape down here. Okay. Let's take a look. Yep, that still gives us our shadow. And this one. That one got off a little bit darker because I didn't do it off the paper. Okay. Yep. So you can take your time and not do it in such a big hurry like I am. It's just, I tend to do that when I'm doing a video. I take my time when I'm actually just doing it for fun. Okay. I like the way that looks. And then you could always, like I said, just put this in and see how that goes in the background. I do think I know for the, I'm going to use the next one. And I think I have one more after that. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to see. Pretty sure I do. Yep, I've got two more actually. So I'm trying to see if I want to do this one too. Or I'm just going to do this. I think I'm just going to do, well, yeah, I'm going to do this because I want to do some from the bottom. So this was, I don't remember which one that one actually is, but you can tell from the look. It's not the, okay, I've done two, and I didn't do the second one, so this is like the fourth one. I can check the back. Yep, it's fourth one. Okay. Now what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to start up down here and make it a little bit darker because it's starting to match up with the other color of the tree. So I am going to be using the broken china coming up. I think that's right. No. I am going to be using faded jeans. I think that works. Yep. And I'm just going to use a little bit down here first, just to give a little bit of that color. Because it's going to be matching up, I'm hoping, with the tree that's going on here. And then I'm just going to lightly give that just a little bit of a halo up above. Okay, let's take a peek. Yeah, I didn't line that one up as good as I should have, but it still works. This one will be better, trust me. And I'll go back and fix that other one. Yeah, I need to fix it. We can do that. Again, don't do what I did. And I'm actually going to pick up that Salvaged Patina to go on top of that. Okay. Okay, that's better. Now I've got 2 layers, but that's okay. You know what? I'm going to give that second layer to this one too. I like it. Wasn't my intention, but I like it. Okay. I could even go down further. Discovering stuff I didn't think I was going to do, but I like it. And give that a little bit more. Okay. So I kind of like making your one of a kind, I guess, here. But it's just using it's like using layered stencils, but using them not exactly on top of each other, but how you want to make your own tree. And that really works. So let's see, I'm going to go back to the 4th one. I'll need to number these on the back so they look at least a little bit consistent on my background. I have to give it a try to see what you can do stenciling wise. I think you could probably make something really pretty. Okay, and then I'm just going to come down with this one. I think I did that twice. Yep. This is like the 4th one. I'm doing that twice. Just the bottom part of it. And then this was probably the 3rd one. Okay. Let's see how that looks all together. I think that looks really pretty in the background. I think I am going to add a little bit more. I can't really do the star, but I could put anything back there. And I think that's how that would go. I think that makes a really pretty background. I think doing some splattering on there to add some of the color, even up here, but I could also get out 2 things. I could look for the moon mask, or I could see how big the, I think the moon mask would look good, or putting the moon back there. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the moon mask, see what happens. But for now, I think this looks like a great background, but I think also splattering would look good. Okay, so I did pull out Tim Holtz Moon Mask, and I am using the very smallest one. And I am going to be using Lost Shadow for this, and I'm trying to think if I want to do the ink to make the craters, and then this for the outside. And I think I'm going to do that. I've never done that, but I'm going to do it this time. So the craters are great. I'm going to situate them so they don't go over the peaks. of the trees. And I'm not doing a really heavy hand, I'm doing it light. Because I want it to be really a light moon. I'm going to take a peek. Yep, that's showing up. Okay, so that gives us that. Now I actually need the moon part. So that also came with this circle, and you can kind of see that right through there. And I'm going to use the Oxide for the outside. It's a little bit lighter, and if I don't like it, I'll add the ink. Now I'm not going over the trees, trying not to go over the trees with this, just coming up to the trees because I want it to be behind the trees. Okay, so that works. I'm giving it a little bit more of a glow coming away. And I also like to put it on the inside of it to soften it. So I think that looks really good. I think that works. I think the only thing that I would like to do is put a base to the bottom. I think that's right. So that's kind of like how that's going to be. And then I'm going to do a base on the bottom. And how I do that is with a torn piece of paper. And I always have a lot of torn pieces of paper. And I'm just going to put this along the bottom. And I'm going to use just Lost Shadow Oxide. Let's see how that's turning up. Yep. And then I'm going to blend that out to soften it. Okay, let's take a look at how that's going to look all together. That kind of gives it a little bit of a base there. And I still think it would look nice with a little bit of drops of ink in the background, but I think this is how we're going to do that for now because this video has gotten a little bit long. But I hope that gives you some inspiration. I will go ahead and have all the supplies that I have used. I'm going to go ahead and put this closer. It's not together yet, but so you can see how it looks. I think it's really pretty how that all came together, and just basically turning your die cutouts into a little bit of a 3-layer stencil, 6-layer stencil, however you want to do it. I will have like I said, I will have the supplies in the description below, but I'm also going to show you what the finished picture looks like of this card at the very beginning of this video. Thanks so much for stopping by.